Welcome to my next episode where I get back into Photoshop. What you see first is my warm-up where I'm struggling trying to find the menu items. I do have a cheat sheet that I got from nobledesktop.com that has all the keyboard shortcuts on it that I've printed out. I used to use it. I used to use Photoshop for all kinds of things. And I haven't been using it for a few years, so a few of the keyboard shortcuts appear to have changed, as do some of the tools. Anyway, the image that's on the screen right now is just my warm-up sketch before I started a photo study. And that's what I'm going to start now. I found a photo study of a woman standing on a street in either sundown or sun up. And so I decided to give it a go. I'm so used to sampling the colors from the photos themselves recently, which is really a kind of a crutch to lean on. I decided that I was going to go ahead and go for it on my own this time, and all of these colors are just figured out by myself. This one was fun. What I did first was put sort of a neutral, slightly purple background into it, and then go in and lay in the darks and the lights and sort of some of the bigger shapes. The backlighting in the photograph was really quite interesting, so I thought, well, I'm not going to make this a likeness. I'm going to give a little bit more of just the impression that I got from the photograph. So now I'm working in, just roughing in the features, sketching in the features, and working on the background. Trying to get a street background that isn't really, nothing is going to be definite on this because this is a sketch. I'll probably go ahead and do a more detailed version of this at some point, because I really like the way that it turned out. But again, I'm just sampling. There I am laying in the street, the pavement, the background was, there were some trees and foliage, other things in the background. I think that in this one I'm also using just the round brush, just a plain round brush for almost the entire thing. In fact, I may have used it for the entire thing until I got to the roughing in of the, or not the roughing in, but the detail, rendering in the details around the face and some of the things like the hair. At one point, I decided pretty soon here to do some fiddling around with the facial structure, which really wasn't satisfying me. It wasn't at all like the one in the photograph, and I wanted to make it a little bit more so because I liked the angle of the face. So I'm about to open Liquify, and first I have to find it. That took me a little while, and throwing in some roughs at where the backlight and reflected light is coming from. Here I go, I found Liquify, and it's been a long time since I've used it in Photoshop. It took me forever to figure out what was going on there, but I finally did end up using the cursor, the brush cursor for it, and that's when it started working for me. So I got things a little bit more organized like I wanted them to be, and widened out the face, the head shape. And then I went into the trying to get the final details on the rendering, the details in the face, draw the eyes in a little bit better. At some point, at this point, I've got the cursor stuck on an eraser cursor. I figure out soon and quickly what's going on there, and then I continue to put some details into the face and fix the outline and fix the things that I kind of made a little bit weird in Liquify. That's what I'm doing right now, working on the chin area. I'm taking out the ripples that I introduced. And in a second here, I'm going to try to do some shading on the face. That doesn't really work out because the colors that I've chosen were not exactly right. I'm going to throw some deep reds into the cheek area that are going to look a little bit too bold, but right now I'm just working on the eye area, trying to get it a little more defined, a little bit, making a little bit more sense than it does at the moment, because it looks like she has her eyes closed and she doesn't. Anyway, this was fun and I felt so rusty. It hasn't been that long since I worked in Photoshop, but it's been quite a while since I painted in Photoshop. I think that the nose is almost the way that I like it. I'm going to be doing a little more work. And yeah, here's where I start putting in some of those reds that are undertones, really under the on the cheek and under the cheekbone, but making them a little bit too. And here I decided that this color would be a good shadow, this sort of purple that somewhat looks like the background. And it really did work when the face, which was not facing the direct light, but it was getting some bounce light. And then I continued to work on the details around the eye, make it read a little better, looking for the right color to go in there. And so I work on that a bit. I have too many brushes. I have downloaded some brushes in the past, and I really need to go in and edit them and organize them a little bit better. I'm looking for one particular one which I cannot find. Okay, well, and then I went right back to just the round brush again. And painting with the round brush is really a good way to get introduced again. Again, here I'm introducing a little bit more of the bounce light of the sunrise / sunset, and making the nose shape a little bit more precise so that rim light doesn't overwhelm, adding a little bit of a little touch of a highlight on the eyelashes. This really is a rough sketch, but I'm pretty pleased with the way that it turned out after I got the facial details rendered in a little bit better. And yes, there was a shadow on the bridge of the nose, and working then to get the far side eye a little bit better. And the face of the face shape was a little bit screwy, so I refined it there. And now I'm starting to rough in some of the backlight that was obscured, and some of the room light, other details, a little bit of bounce light and shadow from the features. And I've got the face looking really the way that I want it to look. Now I'm going to work on the hair, and again, more of the backlight from the sun, really hot orange light that's coming from behind her. Working that in, working a few little other flourishes of the backlight. Some of the details in the hair, and then some of the details in the background, make it kind of stand out. And I used a really very sketchy looking brush for the hair the highlights that were in the foreground of the hair, where it was catching the light that was bouncing from something in the foreground in front of her where we can't see. And then I mucked around in the hair for a little bit, worked on it a little bit more, and then used a darker color to get the strands of the hair. It's sketchy, and I do like it. I think that it turned out pretty well. It's a bit different for me for style because it's not a likeness, it's more a painting, it's more rough, and that's it. I'm done with it. I enjoyed this quite a bit, and it really didn't take me very long at all.